I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to welcome you all to our regular meeting of the Board of Commissioners. Please be advised that we are keeping a record of the proceedings, both a written record and a visual record. In terms of awards, recognition, and correspondence, before we get to the main event, we do have a nice thank you note from the Melton Freewater Junior Show in response to a contribution we made to the restroom fund, indicating that they're going to start the renovation of the restroom this summer, which is certainly not too soon. So, anything else, Commissioner Schaefer?
That's it.
All right, Commissioner Elfring?
I have a presentation, but the presentee is not.
Oh.
En route?
Is not en route, or is it? Oh. All right, then
So we defer it?
We'll do a couple of other things, including the acknowledgement of the minutes of March 6th, May 15th, and June 5th.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Additions to the agenda, I would like to add ratification of the contract with the courthouse employees, AXME. Anything else, Council?
No, that's it.
Okay. Is there any input from visitors who would like to say something other than things that are on the agenda? All righty. Then I guess we'll start on the agenda and go back to the other announcement when the time comes. Our first item is the creation of a position in public health. JR, she's right back there.
I found somebody else. I moved to another printer.
Okay.
Good morning. I'm Alicia Southwick, Deputy Director with Umatilla County Public Health. Good morning. I'm Alicia Southwick, Deputy Director with Umatilla County Public Health. I have before you a creation of a position for our clinic. We were able to fill a part of one of our full-time vacancies with a 0.6 FTE, which leaves 0.4 left, which is challenging to recruit for, so we're requesting to be able to bump that to a 0.5 FTE job recruitment for a nurse for our clinic.
So the request is for a 0.1.
It is. It is a 0.1 addition.
Mr. Chair, I move we approve creation of a 0.05 FTE public health nurse 2 to 4 positions.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll take a brief recess with the indulgence of the audience because our photographer is in the house, and we're going to wish one of our local teams well in the state by taking a photo in front of the podium with a certificate. So pardon us for 1 minute. Bill, you too.
One pardon?
Smile. Officially, you guys already did that.
Well,
I got your teacher poster. Oh.
Sorry.
What award did I win?
I know. There we go.
Thank you very much. And the team thanks you, and the team moms. And so I did my job.
Well, we expect a victory. All right. Still waiting. We'll go on to item 2, a drilling and blasting payable.
Good morning, Tom Fellows, Public Works Director. What I have here today is additional request for drilling and blasting of the rock pit out north of town. We had a contractor come in and do the work, and we encountered some truly unforeseen circumstances in that pit that cost him a great deal of time and money over and above the contracted amount. We had no way of knowing that years ago the county or somebody had went in there and sub-drilled the pit and shot a bunch of loose material underneath, and that caused this driller some terrible grief. He actually brought in an extra drill and ended up spending 15 days doing what should have been a 5-day job. So I thought he was rather gracious to split the additional cost with the county, because he felt pretty strongly that it wasn't totally our fault either. I mean, he was willing to make some concessions on his side of it. So the request is for an additional $15,000 over and above the $42,000 that we paid for the contracted amount for the drilling and blasting.
I actually had conversations with Tom on this, and I appreciate you not going into the detail you and I went into on this. So
Just don't feel compelled to do it now.
A quick question, and I do have, is now that the work's been done and the extra work, and I read through the thing, and he went through a lot of extra work to get this pit working. Is it now in a condition where for future use it's not going to be the problem that it is now?
Moving forward, I believe that we've solved the majority of the problem. There's still one little corner that may pose some difficulty in the future, but it's not going to be near to the degree that we had this time.
Okay.
And I would like to add that this company did an excellent job for us. The product that we ended up with, we couldn't have asked for any better product. I mean, it was truly he truly did an excellent job for us.
So really what he did is he did the job he was supposed to do, and then he had to do a lot more just to get this thing in the condition so it could be utilized.
Correct.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
go ahead.
I authorize an additional payment of $15,000 to Rhino Works for the drilling and blasting of the Engdahl pit.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Gentlemen,
Thank you, Mr. Fellows.
have all your sparklers for the 4th of July all ready to go this year.
Sparklers, yep.
These are the high-flying bombs we've got.
I
Oh, wait a minute. I can't see.
made an important discovery yesterday in that 4 times as many people are killed taking selfies as are killed by fireworks. So you can share that with your friends.
Probably equally burned.
Yeah. All right, item number 3, Wildwood Lane.
Matt Kenny, Umatilla County Public Works Surveyor. So a little background on Wildwood Lane. Back in 2000, the board pursued legalization of this public road, is what it was. It's a similar situation that we have on McKinney. They just chose to go through the legalization process. They carried through the process and had requested a survey be done. For whatever reason, it never did get done. They did some recent utility work and real estate activity over there that brought it back to light, and we realized that a survey needed to be done, so we're just kind of finishing up some of that old work. And so we have that survey attached here today, and just looking for finalization and acceptance of the survey.
Mr. Chair, I move we adopt BCC 2019-056.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Item 4, creation of position in Human Services.
Oh, there was one
Jail scanner.
Jill Skinner?
jail scanner. You might have an old,
It would appear I do.
You started writing on that.
Oh,
Need my computer?
no,
He wants
no.
paper.
I wouldn't know what to do with it. But
It's level of civil and.
current agenda would be good.
Captain Thornhurn from the Umatilla County Sheriff's Office. I'm here for the body scanner.
Okay.
We had much more revenue come into the jail this year than we expected, and it should be more than enough to cover the scanner. The scanner's state-of-the-art machine for preventing contraband coming into the facility. In the last couple of years, we've had one gal, 2 out of the 3 times she came in, she overdosed on fentanyl after she had been strip searched and placed into holding. And this is the machine that we need to prevent that sort of liability.
So that would catch if she was smuggling in fentanyl into the facility, you'd be able to see that on the scanner?
Yes.
How many occasions over the past year have you found this to be the case? Is it just one case or is it multiples?
I would say at least a half a dozen.
Yeah.
I actually was under the impression we had authorized this 6 months ago or a year ago.
I think we've discussed it on occasion. There's been a presentation made about it, but I think the issue that was in question at the time was how to pay for it.
Oh, well, that's critical.
More than the fact that it was a good item and something that would serve a useful purpose. I think we discussed it on occasion of utilizing the inmate fund for paying the majority of this. I think that's still the proposal is to utilize that fund currently and over a period of time.
Can we still use the Clackamas County purchase?
Well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the main way we are purchasing it. How it's going to be paid, there's still some discussion. There's various options as far as payment, including the capital improvement fund. So that can be addressed at a later date through supplemental budgets. But at this point, this is just the authority to go ahead with the purchase and authorize the utilization of the Clackamas County to do it.
Mr. Chair, I'd move that we authorize payment for the body scanner in the sum of $172,800.
Second.
I believe this morning Marie identified a path to
Yes,
payment.
that's another option.
Okay. All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Thank you, Karen. Actually, this agenda doesn't have everything either. So we'll go back to creation of a position in human services.
Don't have it.
Yeah, that one does. Thank you. I don't see anybody from human services. Oh, are you going to do it, Jennifer?
I can do that, sure.
Okay.
Jennifer Blake, Human Resources Director, on behalf of Amy Ashton Williams. She has received a grant to fund 2 new peer recovery mentors that will be primarily stationed to do work with the emergency rooms, with overdose, those sorts of things. So this peer recovery mentors already exist as a position. This is merely adding 2 more due to this grant.
Mr. Chair, I move approval for that action.
I just had a couple of little questions. It said the grant dollars begin July 1, 19, in December 30 of 2020. Looking at the checklist that came with it, it doesn't look like it runs that long. Is there something I've missed here, or I can always bring this up later?
Right, that's not something I can
Yeah. Okay.
have that piece of it.
Second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. All right. Item 6, option agreement.
Chair Murdoch, Umatilla County Commissioners, J.R. Cook, Director with Northeast Oregon Water Association. Appreciate having the opportunity to come up here and talk formally with you about this opportunity. As you know, we, through a turn of events, starting in 2015, acquired a very valuable asset for the region and some intake capacity that's approved by the federal government for some water supply out of the Columbia River that will most likely extend to the Umatilla Chemical Depot. And the Northeast Oregon Water Association Board has held on to that asset in anticipation of developing a project. As you know, the county's expressed interest in holding that asset for economic growth in West Umatilla County, and the Now Board's approved And the owner that we work on this with, Skeeter Amstead from Amstead Farms, has approved our organization entering into a deal with Umatilla County to formally convey the asset to the county to ensure that it maintains or remains in public hands for public economic development opportunities over in West County. And so willing to answer any questions you have, but I'll be brief as possible and then get into details if you want me to. So.
This is a regional asset that would be able to sustain economic development for the region, as well as irrigation for our farmers and recharge aquifers. Is that pretty accurate?
Yeah, Commissioner Schaefer, yes. The central project, which is what we originally called this back, I mean, this has been a project that we've been working on. I've actually worked on it since before I left the county in 2008. With the recharge effort, there's a large aquifer underneath the depot that extends south of Interstate 84 and east of Interstate 82. And this project has a very real opportunity to take wintertime Columbia River water and recharge that aquifer that's actually a critical groundwater area. It's been depleted to the point where there's a ton of storage because we pumped all the water out of it. And so there's that asset opportunity. The summertime supply, there's a reservation in this to potentially build what we call the central project, which is a pressurized pipeline on the east side of Interstate 82 that would enable irrigation of all that land that you see when you drive along the road there. That all comes out of Mackay Reservoir. What that would enable us to do is move that Mackay Reservoir water to district lands south of the city of Echo, which also is within our most significant critical groundwater area, which is sub-area A, which is a critical groundwater area that's shared by Echo, Stanfield, Hermiston, and the surrounding farmland, so they all compete for that groundwater. The goal with this is to move ag, and as you know, we received an appropriation with the help of Senator Johnson and some others this year to start banking groundwater that ag starts to get off of with these projects, and hopefully save that for economic growth through city growth over time. So this project truly is our flagship project. The only problem we've had, as you know, is the sequencing of events for this. And it's primarily revolved around access to the depot and getting that project done. And so the assets there, it's federally approved. I think the federal easement, as Doug knows, runs through 2060 something. 2064. And we've always said in the water world, you think it's hard getting the water right out of the Columbia River, try getting a pump station because it's within the federal take line. Very difficult to get that done. And that process for that federal permit actually started in the early to mid 2000s and was finally approved by the federal government in 2015 to get that pump station capacity available. So it is a very firm asset and has a lot of opportunity, but this will allow us to work with the county and build the timeline necessary to get access to the depot and get the components of the project completed.
For the benefit of the record, remind me, it has a capacity of 102 cubic feet a second?
Correct. Mm-hmm. Yes, Commissioner Murdoch.
The 40-inch line.
It's a 45-inch pipeline. The federal permitted pump station capacity at the Columbia River is 102 cubic feet per second. And for visual purposes, that's 102 basketballs a second flowing by you. The capacity that's available, so there's 72 CFS or cubic feet per second that is already permitted from existing water rights, and we added 30 CFS of additional capacity into the federal permit to be able to run water to the Western Industrial Park and irrigated land of Umatilla County, the depot, the Westland Road area, and hopefully further south.
It's 30 CFS anytime water, and I understand 15 CFS wintertime water. So that's a total of 45 maximum during the winter.
Yeah, to clarify, Commissioner Elfring, you actually have 30 CFS firm. Skeeter Amstead's is asking for reservation for the peak summertime period for now to try to see if we can get the project done for the central project. But the 45 actually is not just for winter to recharge. The 40 up to 45 is when Amstead Farms and Lamb Weston aren't pumping. That 72, you get whatever they're not pumping up to 45. And the reason that it's at 45 is that's the max we could push through that pipe. And so the design for the pipe is a 42-inch line that runs 45 CFS. That can run, it'll be a winterized project, so it means it can run year-round, either to direct supply or recharge. You're guaranteed 30. We'll get through this reservation process and figure out if the central project will indeed happen and how much water they need for that. Any water over and above the 30 up to 45 that they're not using in any given day, which we do know there's a ton of capacity there. We don't know exactly how much, but you get the first right on that additional 15 anytime throughout the year. So it's guaranteed in the winter and most likely available during all or portions of the summer.
So this is by permit and it's not by water right?
Correct. This is the federal permit to enable you to pull water out of the federal take line of the Columbia River. So the federal government has control over the river. It's a federally controlled system. And to get access to the river to put a pump station in it, you have to get an easement. You have to actually have a contract with the federal government to get a pipe out in the river. And that's the hardest part, honestly, of Columbia River projects these days. The water rights side of this, and that's another thing, is the water rights are separate from the infrastructure permit. Anybody that gets permission from the county, you will be in the driver's seat, can add their water right to your point of diversion. It's through a state process. But the water rights side of this, there's a whole host of different rights that we've looked at that you're aware of that could potentially come to you to get contracts to run capacity through, or run water through your capacity.
There's no perfection or anything that needs to be done with this?
No, it basically can sit there until we get the right project and the right funding package in place. As you know, we've had funding approvals in the past on loans through other entities, and this just seems to be the best fit for everyone, but it's not without opportunity for funding. Business Oregon's already very interested in this project, had a one-stop 2 years ago. We did have a loan on the books. We sought funding from the state this year for $5 million to do recharge testing. Then that is a piece that we will continue to work on a lot, which is getting water put in the ground to be able to ground truth the models we have on how much water that aquifer can hold for future growth. And that's a big priority of ours at Northeast Oregon Water Association, is getting the recharge side of this tested. That's supported by, recharge out there has been supported by the tribes and the irrigators in this region for years. It's just trying to get the right puddle to lose water in the right spot.
You said this is supported by the tribes?
The recharge component of this has been supported by the tribes. The tribes, through the Columbia Development Authority, sent a letter to Senator Hansel requesting funding for the recharge testing this year. As we all know, it was a difficult session. You don't always get what you wish for. It's like Christmas. And I never got what I wanted at Christmas either. But so I have to work for it. But it's definitely our number one priority going into the interim and 2021 session, as well as our federal agenda with Merkley, Wyden, and Walden. As you know, Senator Merkley's shown quite an interest in the Deschutes water program the Deschutes Basin's working on, and that interest and understanding in water is starting to move further east towards our region. So we're happy to have that kind of support and those types of relationships. And again, what it all boils down to is having a snorkel in the river to pull water when you're ready. So.
Well, JR, I really appreciate the work you've done on this, and Skeeter Amstead. I really want to make sure you guys are aware of that. And with that, Mr. Chair, I'd move a motion that we approve the signing of the option agreement and any other necessary documents.
Absolutely no question about the importance of this project to the industrial and agricultural growth of the region.
Yep.
And for us to be able to step in and assist in this way is really a major thing for us to do, and it's really important, and I would second.
All right, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Good, thank you.
Look forward to working with you guys.
We will look forward to it too, and I just want to state for the record as well, because I'm here and I don't get to come here very often because you guys don't invite me, but I will say that on behalf of the entire board membership of the association, the leadership that the county's shown, and not just, I mean, when we brought this to you, it was a, hey, should we keep this loan going, and the interest in the county to just acquire it so that it was secure and ready to build the project was, I wouldn't say it was a surprise to the association board, but I will say that the appreciation that the board expressed at the last meeting, very, very thankful that we've got this partnership and that the county sees the value in this asset. So thank you.
Likewise.
I think, as we've come to understand, the likelihood of getting another pumping station in the Columbia River anytime in our lifetime is pretty nil.
Yeah.
Slim to none.
When was the last one done?
The last new one, and one of my past board members, who's no longer a board member, tried in the 90s with the Inland Land Project, and they ended up actually contracting with 3 Mile Canyon Farms on Willow Creek, because they spent a year and a bunch of money and didn't do it. But all the pump stations you see on the river, the last one was in the 70s that actually had federal approval. And a little caveat on that wasn't approval of a new pump station. It was approval of a hydraulically connected well that clogged up, and they needed to get to the river or their farm would have gone dry. And so the feds basically said, yeah, we'll let you get to the river for this one. But the process with an ESA listed river system and the amount of interest on the Columbia River, it's well, the last one was before I was born. So that tells you how hard it is to get a new pump station on the river.
Wow.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, JR.
Thanks.
All right, item 7, Special Transportation Fund Committee.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Stacy Coons, Umatilla County Transit Coordinator. And at our last Special Transportation Fund Committee, we elected a new chair for the committee, and that's Rod Harwood. And Rod has been on the committee now for about 3 or 4 years and has really, I feel he has a real strong understanding of the duties of the Special Transportation Fund, and I think he'll be a great chair, and just need your approval for.
Mr. Chair, I move approval of the appointment of Rod Harwood as Chair of the Umatilla County Special Transportation Fund Committee.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay.
Thank you.
Yep. Item number 8, exempt salaries. Might be the day when we needed 29 items on the agenda.
Good morning, Jennifer Blake again, Umatilla County Human Resources. So this is just coming before you to finalize the exempt cost of living increases this year. Our practice has been to allow the exempts to have the highest increase of whatever the union contracts are getting. So this year it will be a 3.5% increase. In addition to that, we're asking to extend to the exempts some longevity language that extends longevity accrual to 25 years, so that's an additional 2.5% at 25 years. This would match the current contract at the road department and some proposed language that's in the AFSCME courthouse contract, which will be coming before you next for ratification.
Mr. Chair, I move approval.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay, since you're already there, why don't you address the contract ratification?
I'd like to ask Debbie to also come up.
I
Debbie
think that'd be
Swenson.
wonderful.
Debbie, are you the president? Yeah, so Debbie is the president of AFSCME Courthouse. We refer to it as the Courthouse Union, but Local 3742. We have before us a vote to, the union has voted to ratify the current contract that we've negotiated. And so we are before the board asking for them to also vote and ratify. Before we do that, though, I'd like to really thank Debbie and her team this year. Negotiations was quick, respectful,
Fun.
fun. That's
Fun.
really
Contract
weird
negotiations?
Negotiations, but
I think that's the first time I've ever heard that word used to describe contract negotiations.
more than anything, I just really want to extend the appreciation to the team for how negotiations went this year, and I think it's a testament to a good working relationship that we were able to come to a good contract pretty quickly.
Could you have Debbie formally identify herself as lifetime president?
Debbie Swenson, president of AFSCME Union for the Courthouse.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second, do we have a item?
We don't know, it was just added. Did you want any specifics on it all, or?
Are there
There's
details?
two, there's
Do you
two,
want any details of
there are
it, or
two
you
major
just-
details that.
There's some more details.
Okay.
I don't think either of my colleagues know what's in it, so.
Actually, I do.
Oh, do you? All right.
Yes, I
well,
do.
I have a lot of trust.
Yeah. Primarily, there are two components. One is the cost of living for the next 3 years. It's 3.5, 3 and 3. And then also just as you heard, the longevity has now been extended to 25 years. It currently ends at 20, so this will impact a few long-term employees. The ones that have been here 25 years will get a 2.5% increase. And I believe that's,
The bilingual.
and then we also,
The language didn't really change in bilingual, it just kind of firmed up a process forward to be able to make that a little bit more attainable.
good. And I
We
think
already have
that's,
the motion.
What?
We already have the motion, if that's what you're looking for.
Oh, that's right, we stopped. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you very much,
Thank you
Debbie.
both for your work.
This has been a wonderful process.
Yes.
All right, we'll take another recess. Turn it over to you, Commissioner Elfring.
Thank you. The Umatilla County Employees Excellence Committee was created to acknowledge and commend the efforts of employees who serve the citizens of the county efficiently and effectively with a focus on professional development and outstanding customer service. And in that light, there has been a quarterly Employee Excellence Award that has been presented. And in that spirit, the committee wishes to share with you and us the nomination letters. And let me read this. It says, Jody is an amazing employee and coworker. She always willingly steps in and works wherever she is needed. Sometimes she's late to a meeting, but she works wherever she's needed. She wears many hats at the sheriff's office. She's the assistant to the emergency manager. She's our warrants clerk, public information officer. She does the books for the jail's commissary account. She assists with background checks and handles expunged sealed records and does the run to the courthouse and the city court each morning. Without Jody's help in all these areas, this office would not function near as well as it does. The sheriff's office is extremely lucky to have her. This office functions as well as it does because of the work Jody does, and because of this, I believe she's a great candidate for this award, and it's our pleasure to recognize Jody as the April, May, June Employee Excellence Award recipient, Jody Florence. Jody, come on up here. The commissioners would like to have a picture beautified with your presence in it and to present you with this award. Come right on into the
Candy bouquet.
I can be presented as
Of course, John will come with you. Ready? John, you gotta believe it. Wonderful.
And along with this comes an additional 8 hours of paid time off. I don't know when you're going to take that with all the work you have to do, but that's there, and also a copy of the letter that was presented. Over here, we have some sweetness to present to you.
Not me, but candy.
I thought that would be obvious.
It was, that's why I had to clarify.
Oh, gosh.
The blues to fly high and recognize your achievements.
If you want to make a change, you can have him too.
And my teeth are right.
You can greet your friends, Jody, if you wish, that aren't here.
I saw that.
And accused me of lying, which I did.
Congratulations,
Thank you all.
Jody.
I'm not sure we've ever had an employee in the quarter who wasn't lied to.
To get them here.
Get him here ever. All right, well, before we go into the next item, I think you had a question or two, did you not, Commissioner Elfring, relative to the Human Services position?
I did.
Well, Amy is here, so.
She's here now, if I can find my questions. There they are. Part of the question was, in the background for it, it said that the grant dollars begin July 1, 2019 and end December 30 of 2020. Looking at the chart back here, that doesn't seem to wash with the ending time. We've got two other ending times of June 30, 20 and September 1 of 20. So is there adequate funding in this to go clear till December?
Sure. Amy Ashton Williams, Umatilla County Human Services. There should have been two financial attachments to that. One that would have shown July through July of 2020, and then one that should have been July through December of 2020.
Yes, those are there. But my question was, in the backgrounding for it said to December 30.
Yes. Yeah, so that funding goes through the end of 2020, the end of December of 2020.
But the positions don't, is that right?
The positions will. So in the job announcement.
The funding appears to end on one portion of it, $280,000 ends on June 30.
Yep.
And $70,000 ends on September the 1st.
Yes.
So that doesn't get to December 30. That was I was just trying to align the dates.
I see what you're saying. So that funding, even though that funding for 19 through 1920, there will be some carryover into the last 6 months of that grant. Okay. So the July through December, there's going to be some carryover from this year when we get the funding. And so there
is adequate funding.
There's adequate funding, and I worked with Samantha Beyer from OHA, and I received some financial information from the finance department that we looked at what it would cost for 2 certified peer mentors for a year's time. And then she based her funding on that, knowing that this is how much it would cost for 2 peer mentors for an entire year, and then gave us adequate funding for a year and a half of that.
So is this a position that is current? We already have this position,
it is not.
So we're going to be dropping some new people into it?
2 new positions.
Okay.
And in the job that will go out, what gets posted, it'll be clear that it's a grant-funded position that is good through the end of December 2020, or would be continued if we receive some additional state and federal funding.
It indicates there's that possibility.
There is that possibility, yeah. So, but we do want to make it clear to, folks that will be applying to the job that it is right now time limited.
Good. Yeah. Thank you. That answers my question.
Yeah, no problem. Sorry I was tardy.
Too many meetings.
Thank you. Okay. The next item is the fee ordinance amendment, second reading. We'll go into hearing mode.
You first, at the last board meeting, had the first reading that's now scheduled for the second reading. Since that period of time, there was one additional fee that's been added. Public Health wanted to add a fee for injections that are for non-immunization matters, and it'll be the same proposed amount is the same amount as the other ones. It's $58, but it was not clear in the last one that was to be added. And so other than that change, it is ready for the second hearing, and following the second reading and hearing, it is up for adoption.
Do any of the commissioners have questions or comments?
No.
I have none.
Does anyone in the audience have a question or comment relative to the fees? All right. Hearing none, we'll go out of hearing mode. And I can accept a motion.
Mr. Chair, I move adoption of ordinance 2019-04.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Right. I think that is the agenda. Since I will not be here, or maybe won't be here at the next meeting, I just want to indicate that I ask that we appeal to the East Oregonian for a contract for a regular monthly advertisement in the Other Oregon. It's a publication that they send out to the 5,000 most important people in Oregon. And that we have visited with East Oregonian. We would intend to go into a contract, but in case that contract comes at a meeting, the next meeting I'm not here, I certainly strongly support it and ask that we make sure we get the contract as soon as possible. So, as a matter of record. Anything from you, Commissioner Alfring?
Just a couple of...
Congratulations on your teeth.
Oh, well, it's nice to be able to smile at the camera. Where's the camera? It's nice to have them back, as a matter of fact. Couple of small items, just a brief update on we've had the issue with the confiscated horses being fed at Northwest Livestock. That moving to a permanent solution is moving ahead. It's being pretty much led by Cal Souther, who's a retired attorney, and looks like the majority of the horses will be moving out this week and moving into permanent adoption. So it's moving ahead well. We've got the bills of sales for those horses, and the process worked out pretty well. A place to permanently house the horses is being worked on, and I'll have more to report on that at a future date. We had 2 meetings yesterday with residents along Airport Road. Chris Wayne and Judy, I don't have her last name readily available here, but issues are being resolved. Our discussion with Chris Wayne, he had numerous suggestions on what we could do with the road, and none of which really work out to be very practical for us to do. The location of it, as proposed in the engineers' blueprints, plans, look like it's going to be the one that's going to need to be. So we will be making some mitigation in both cases of moving fences. We may be involved in replacing a tree or two that are there, but it's moving ahead. We have one more appointment Monday, and at that point the matter will close and move ahead.
Good. Thank you for your work on it.
The only thing I have is we met with Enterprise Fleet yesterday. We've already ordered 12 Chevy Malibus, and we're going to be getting rid of about 18 of our current fleet vehicles, so that'll reduce our fleet by 6.
-6.
Yeah, in the first go around, and there's more to come. So, and it was a really good meeting. We learned a lot more about the program, and we're definitely on the right track. So,
excellent.
Have we approved that?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
We
formally,
yes.
Yes, at a
Formally?
board meeting, yes.
Okay.
yeah.
Good. Comforting. Anything else?
No, parade tomorrow.
Parade tomorrow.
Yeah.
Happy 4th of July to everyone.
What's happening? All right.
Yeah,
Well,
4th of July parade, and the commissioners will be in it. Well, 2 of the 3 will be in one vehicle. One of us gets his own special vehicle. So
as it should be.
We'll be throwing rocks at that one. We've got people strategically placed in the audience.
I don't know how to humbly bring it to your attention, but you'll have trouble throwing rocks because I'll be way ahead of you in the line.